Members, we are at order of the day 1, address in reply. This is the Honourable Member's inaugural speech, and as such, the usual conventions and courtesy of the Chamber apply. The Honourable Rob Horstman.
President, firstly, may I take the opportunity to congratulate you on your re-election as President of the Legislative Council. I'm incredibly grateful for the work that has gone into the induction program that we, the class of 2025, have benefited from, and I'm aware of the great deal of input you had in seeing this come to pass. Indeed, I would like to similarly congratulate all the members who have taken on official leadership positions in this place. I thank you all in advance for the leadership you will provide in the 42nd Parliament. In the short time I've had the privilege to be in Parliament, it has struck me that while we are here to legislate, we also have the equally important role of leading our state of Western Australia forward. When it comes to my leadership journey, in the early part of my life, leading was all about titles. I was head boy at primary school, head boy at high school, and captain of a number of basketball teams. If there was a title to be held, I pursued it. However, something changed, and from the age of 20 and for many years, any thought of leadership or holding public office faded far into the background. In truth, I do not think I fully understood what real leadership, influencing and supporting each other truly meant. It was not until April the 11th, 2021 that the true meaning of the word leadership hit me in the face with a Category 3 cyclone called Seroja. Now, as many as you will recall, Cyclone Seroja brought winds of 170 km/h, which flipped over sea containers like they were blocks of Lego, collapsed ceilings and roofs, including on my wife's family farm, and left a 700-kilometre path of destruction throughout regional WA. And while I will turn to that sliding doors moment in my life shortly, firstly, I want to acknowledge where my story really begins, and that is with family, more specifically with my grandparents. I did have some comments after the swearing-in ceremony made to me about my somewhat eclectic middle names, which come in the form of Ludwig and Gordon. Now, Ludwig was my maternal grandfather who was conscripted into the German army from a Polish enclave, fought for the Germans in North Africa, and later joined the Free Polish Army to liberate Poland. In a conflict where leadership could be both noble and fatal, he quite literally fought on both sides of World War II. My grandmother met Grandad at an army camp near Perth in Scotland. Fittingly, this was the name of the Australian city where our family would eventually immigrate to. On my father's side, my grandfather Frederick Gordon rose to the rank of Major in the Royal Fusiliers during World War II, and therefore from an early age I was very much aware that leadership ran deep in my family. In 1986, my parents made the courageous decision to immigrate to Australia with myself and my 2 brothers. I remember the airline attendant joking about kangaroos bouncing down the streets of Perth, and one of the check-in staff commenting on the fact that there was likely to be a jumbo jet dragging its rear end along the runway based on the number of steamer trunks we had in our luggage. Now, arriving as a 10-year-old boy from the industrial city of Bristol, I was immediately struck by the contrast. One early memory involved walking with my cousin, who warned me quite innocently about black boys, referring, as I later learned, to the grass trees that dot the landscape. Even then, I was struck by how words and perspectives can so easily lead to misunderstanding. Throughout my journey, I faced moments that revealed the ongoing challenge of ensuring inclusivity in our great state. I hope to contribute to changing this during my time here. My childhood was both balanced and fortunate. At East Hamersley Primary School, I won my first election as Year 7 head boy, and later at Warwick Senior High School, I was elected head boy again. On reflection, my first electoral loss did not occur until much later when I ran for the Northampton District High School Board, where I was soundly beaten, although overall my experience of campaigning to this point had been quite positive. I'm fortunate to have a very close relationship with my brothers Andrew, or AJ, and Mick, with our shared love of sport playing a significant part in this. Basketball was and always will be my first love, although the height of my somewhat gargantuan brothers did curtail my career somewhat. I did, however, thoroughly enjoy my time playing for various state league clubs at a junior level. In cricket, I consistently batted at number 11. Traditionally, the position held by the least talented batsman in the side, and a fact that was a great amusement to my friends and teammates. Fittingly, I was elected to this chamber as number 11 out of 37. A symmetry that did not go unnoticed by Dan Cleary, one of my best mates, who along with his wife Ali, I'm very happy to say, are here in the gallery today. After year 12, along with many of my early 90s contemporaries, I took a gap year in Europe, spending treasured time with grandparents as well as aunties and uncles that I had not seen for years. My grandfather's military connections allowed us to visit the Tower of London, not as inmates thankfully, and this, along with many other experiences, deepened my lifelong interest in history. This time once again reinforced the importance that family play in my life and how having a genuine involvement in people's lives who you care about not only makes a difference to them, it also shapes the type of person that you want to become. My dad had not been that keen on me deferring uni for a year due to a somewhat legitimate concern I might never re-enrol. However, upon my return to Perth, I studied a Bachelor of Commerce, majoring in Management and Marketing at Curtin University. I was not the most scholarly student, so other than ensuring I got 50% in my exams, my focus at that stage was far more on cricket and camaraderie than on my studies. As I indicated, this time of my life, being a leader was not in the stars for me, and it was likely something I was actively avoiding. Politics, however, had always been present in my life. My father, Bob Horstman, who's here today, has always been deeply involved in politics, and it was one of the reasons we left the UK. One of the first books Dad ever got me was What is a Trade Union? Perhaps ironic given the where I sit now in the chamber. Nevertheless, that early exposure gave me a profound understanding of political life and public service. Family has always been central to my values, and to me, leadership is often about how big you want to make your family. We all lead, regardless of whether we have a title. Sometimes that family is small, and sometimes that family is a state. I was fortunate to secure a commercial role in the pharmaceutical sector, where I worked on the fringes of the mental health industry for over a decade. I spent time in remote Indigenous communities working on suicide prevention programs, and I came to better understand our mental health system, a passion I carry to this day. Members opposite can expect that mental health will feature heavily in my parliamentary work as well as in question time. It was during this time that my political fire reignited, in no small part because I met my beautiful wife Jessica, who is here today. This city boy moved to Geraldton and eventually to Jessica's family's 8,000-acre wheat and sheep farm. My transition from city to farm life, again, amused many of my friends and tested my in-laws' patience at times. As my father-in-law can attest to, my practical skills on the farm were and remain limited. When I first heard the word header, I seriously thought it was something you did to score a goal in soccer, not a piece of farm machinery used to harvest crops. When our children, Amelie, Zach and Anna Grace, arrived, I took parental leave so Jessica could return to farming. I chronicled that experience through a blog called Diary of a Farmer's Husband. It was during these years that my passion for public service was really reignited. It was during my parental leave that I, somewhat bravely in hindsight, took on the chairperson's role at the then struggling Northampton Childcare Centre. It was this experience, among with others at this time, that saw me witness firsthand the disparities between regional and metropolitan Western Australia in healthcare, education, infrastructure. I was drawn to the Nationals, where I found my true political home and another family. I feel incredibly grateful to be able to acknowledge people who have been central in my political journey. Mia Davies, who first brought Jessica and me to Parliament House for dinner. On reflection at that point, Mia may have been looking at Jessica as a future parliamentarian rather than me. And notwithstanding that, I'm so grateful for the support you have given me, Mia. Grant Wirdhams, Murray Criddle, Cole de Grusser and Marty Aldridge are but a few of the many who have guided me on this path. Marty, your generosity in helping me transition into this role will never be forgotten, and I will always be grateful for the assistance of that and your staff moving into your office. Ashley, Danelle and Courtney, thank you for all that you have done and for the sacrifices that have been made. To the Nationals parliamentary team, Peter Rundle, Lockie Hunter, Kira Lee Waugh, Julie Freeman, Bevan Eates, Scott Leary and Shane Love. We are no doubt a team that will punch above our weight, with none of those punches being of the bare-knuckle variety. Kira Lee, with the huge efforts of people like Paul Brown and Deb Carson, we have already achieved great things in winning the seat of Geraldton for the Nats, and I'm excited and indeed intrigued to see what our entire parliamentary team can achieve during the 42nd Parliament. Heather York, Nathan Quigley, Julie Kirby and Seb Sciano are four people who had a hugely positive impact on the campaigns I had the privilege of managing in the last state election. And I'm very happy to say Seb, along with Lisa Logan, will continue to work with me as my parliamentary journey continues. To the many party stalwarts, volunteers, candidates, and particularly national candidates who ran in metro seats and likely got me here, standing here today, thank you. You are the heartbeat of our party and make up the fabric which makes the Nationals family so strong. I'm also grateful to have the opportunity to acknowledge DC and Christos for their support during my high school and cricketing years, Mel Hall for being part of an early leadership journey at primary school, and Bunce for being a constant in both city and country elements of my life over many years. Kay Cook is a long-time friend and former colleague from my days in Big Pharma, and someone I would like to thank for her unwavering support of me and indeed my family. The 2021 cyclone was the turning point for me. As Saroja hit, my family sheltered in the laundry. Initially, the children were calm, noise-cancelling headphones and iPads helping. However, when the ceiling collapsed, part of it striking Jessica, the danger was undeniable. We emerged to devastation. I later contravened the red warning to check on the local high school, which the principal could not access. Fortunately, I found the school intact and encountered ADF personnel who had already arrived to assist. The morning of the 12th of April 2021, standing in the aftermath of Tropical Cyclone Saroja, I found myself reflecting on my time completing the Australian Rural Leadership Program. The ARLP, as it's known, is recognised as one of the world's leading experiential leadership programs. And as I looked around the devastation of a farm that had been in my wife's family since 1950, I remember one of the mantras I took away from the ARLP, and I asked myself this question: what type of leadership shadow do you want to cast, Rob? Being authentic, self-aware and resilient in a way that would motivate others was what I settled on that morning. Cyclone Saroja taught me that what resilience truly means. Too often, resilience is reduced to a slogan in a news report. However, resilience is not a word, it is where action meets purpose. And I've seen that resilience in the idea of the regional SOS, the same old 6 volunteers that basically hold up and carry our country communities. After Saroja, ordinary West Australians led without title, running food depots, coordinating support, providing shelter, simply because it needed to be done. While the immediate disaster response was commendable, the recovery was agonisingly slow. Of the 104.5 million promised in recovering, only 10% reached where it was needed. This failure reiterated the ever-growing gap between the city and our regions and motivated me to seek further public office. Later in 2021, I successfully ran for the Northampton Shire Council, taking on the role of Deputy Shire President from the outset. A decision that ruffled some feathers, if I'm honest, as I have been known to do. The idea of sitting on the bench while there was so much to do and to be done in our Shire was not one I could stomach, and I was fortunate to sit alongside Shire President Liz Sedlow, a great mentor and friend. Still driven by the frustrations of post-Saroja recovery and a desire to serve all of Western Australia, I sought Nationals pre-selection for the 2025 election. I'm forever grateful to the Nationals for the opportunity and all those who ran in metropolitan seats who literally helped me make it possible to stand here today. As we all do now, I now represent all Western Australians, from Esperance to Kununurra, Kalgoorlie to Fremantle and everywhere in between. My journey, educated in Perth and living in the regions, gives me a perspective that bridges the metro country divide. That divide has grown wider federally and locally, as borne out by the results in the recent WA and federal elections. Our role in this House is not just to legislate, but to lead in closing that gap, even when we disagree, and to unite Western Australia towards a remarkable future. President, there are many people I'm grateful to have the opportunity to thank today. To Shane Love, for your leadership and for your first conversation with me over a coffee in Northampton, a city boy living on a farm in Northampton trying to sound like a national. Thank you for the belief you showed in me and for the support in my path to becoming a member for Western Australia. Shire of Northampton councillors and staff, past, present, who supported me during my time in local government, you are part of this journey, and I do not take lightly the responsibility and indeed the privilege of where I stand today. To my in-laws, Chris and Pam, or Phil and Mill, as I more commonly call them, thank you for welcoming your impractical, non-farming son-in-law into the family. Erin, Mason, Katie, I've always treated you like siblings, and it's such an honour to be an uncle to your amazing children. My brother AJ and his incredible wife Andy, you have, are and will continue to be role models for me in how to live a purposeful and successful life while keeping to the values that you hold so dear to you both. Mick, you and Sarah have raised 3 wonderful children in the shadow of your working 5 weeks on and 5 weeks off for almost 20 years. That commitment itself speaks to the resilience you have shown in your life. Being such an involved uncle before having my own children taught me valuable parenting lessons, as well as strengthening that all-important bond that our family shares and which has sustained us all through challenging times. Demby, Saba, MT, Bella and Jack, or the Horstman horde as I affectionately call you, watching your achievements and the way you achieve them has been an inspiration to me, and I thank you for that. Dad, you may have prepared me for politics from a different part of the spectrum. However, your guidance brought me here. I am conscious that had you and Mum not made the beyond courageous decision to move to Perth, sight unseen I might add, it likely would have been you sitting in Parliament, albeit on the other side of the world and on the wrong side of the house, as far as I'm concerned. As a parent myself, I understand unconditional love for your children is a given. Dad, you and I have also cultivated an unconditional bond of friendship and respect over the years, and this is what I value beyond measure when it comes to our relationship. Mother, you are one of the strongest people I've ever known, as well as one of the most scariest on those few occasions I've got on your bad side. My love and affection for you is beyond words. You are the matriarch of our family and the lioness that will protect her pride to the end, the woman who ran remote hospitals as Director of Nursing, and an inspiration to me in all that you do. You are also the reason I have always been surrounded by strong women, both professionally and personally. Mum, you will be happy to know that what I've experienced in this place already, that's a trend that's going to continue. Most of all, though, you're my mum, and I love you. My wife Jessica and I are blessed to have 3 children sharing our journey, and it's with a heart full of pride that I can see them all in the gallery today. Zach and Emily, your resilience at boarding school shows the true definition of where action meets purpose. As parents, we are all proud of our children for different reasons, and I can say I've never been prouder of the way you two have settled in, being at boarding school, and how you've thrived in an environment so far from home. On being asked how a boarding house rep meeting went, Zach is on record as saying, I was pretty happy that I got some items through, which, while making us laugh, did demonstrate an ability to represent others in his life. Emily, you have always been the quiet leader with strong values who is willing to speak their mind when others need to hear it. Thank you, Pum, for showing me what strength and adversity means, particularly considering you did it at such a young age. And to Anna Grace, who will be the only one who ever calls me the Honourable Father. You are the delight of our lives. Sporting the vocabulary of a tertiary professor and the sass of a social influencer, I know you will always keep me honest, and that is something I will always value greatly. Finally, to Jessica, you are my partner, my constant, and my greatest encouragement. The way you balance farming, being the beautiful mum you are, and managing me is often beyond belief. Thank you, Jessie. I love you. We often reflect that I have achieved so much more since you entered my life, and standing here today proves that. Thank you for your understanding, your honesty, your strength, and your unwavering support. It's now time for me to extend that family, to bring every Western Australian along on this journey. Yes, we are here to legislate, and we are here to lead. Thank you. You can go second. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Cheers, mate. Yeah, oh, you have? At the 11.
Yeah, we do, I know. I didn't keep doing that.
Have they got someone to do 2 minutes of dressing the phone? Oh, good. Stay with it. Later. Someone to do a dressing What does he have to do, Sam? Seek leave?
At the end of his remarks, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And Jess can speak.
Yeah.
So just before the you seek leave to continue your remarks, you'll go to question time.